everyone, Vanessa here from Love Riley. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be sewing up this amazing Isabella bag by Petal Designs. This bag is absolutely amazing. I'm absolutely in love with the pattern. I'm in love with the outcome. It's actually my second time that I've sewn this bag up. The first time I actually had what I thought was all the footage. I went to edit it, got halfway through it and realised that I was missing the entire middle of the video. I do have the bag off to the side that I made in that first video to show you. I'm so glad that I had to remake this because it has turned out amazing. The first bag I made using just Decaville Heavy as my interfacing, and I will show you that bag shortly. I decided when I went back to make the second bag, I actually wanted it to be more sturdy. So what I did was I actually went ahead and I added foam. And I'm so glad I did because the outcome is amazing. This bag is just gorgeous and quite simple to make. It is a drop-in lining. I did go ahead and extend my recessed zipper panel by 2 inches. I do talk about that as I do it in the video. Apart from that, that's the only change that I made. Let's go over the bag. So these decorative wings were quite easy to do. I would suggest doing those at the very beginning. If you're going to use glue, you could use double-sided tape, but allow them to dry while you go ahead and prepare everything else. This decorative patch is perfect for, as you can see, my nameplate. I absolutely love that detail. On the back of the bag, I have this zipper overlay. There actually is another one on the inside, but this has an external zipper pocket, which is a great size. I love how the crossbody strap is attached to our side details here and not in the top seam. It's a very big bag. This is a great bag for those who love big totes, as well as a nappy bag I would say would be perfect as well. I've just used purse feet on the bottom. I mean, just look at this recessed zipper panel. It is amazing. As I said, I did increase the size of this 2 inches. And then this is the inside of the bag. Like, it is a very, very good size. I've got an interior zipper on the back wall, and then on the opposite wall, I've just added the divided slip pocket. In the pattern, you could add a cargo pocket. The choice is really up to you. I just love the recessed zipper panel. I'm so happy with how it turned out, how perky it is. Perky and perfect. These strap ends were a little bit tough to put on, but that's only because my vinyl is so thick. But they were totally worth it because it just looks amazing. So I got those from Dreamy Bag Hardware. The connectors from Passion for Vinyl, but I'll leave all the links in the description below of where I bought everything. I think I'm going to order the templates for this from Brymax because I can see myself making a lot of these. It is really a beautiful bag. I'll show you the very first one that I made. So this is the very first one that I made out of crop vinyl, and I was quite disappointed that the video actually didn't turn out because it is a beautiful bag. I absolutely love this crop vinyl. However, as I said, I was glad that I had to remake this because, as you can see, it is, compared to the other one has a lot more stability in terms of like standing on its own. This one here, I only interface with Decaville Light out of my seam allowances, where on the purple bag I actually used Decaville Light out of my seam allowances, but then added foam as well. Every other bag of this pattern that I make, I will be using foam and Decaville Light because I'm in love with how structured the first purple bag is. This bag is most likely just going to end up being mine because it is beautiful. It is a beautiful bag and I love the colour. Obviously, once it's filled, it's going to have more structure, but compared to the other one, I love this. I love the structure of the first bag. So I'm definitely going to make more. I might even make more out of this same crop vinyl, but using the stabilizer that I did on the first one. So that's the croc vinyl one. As you can see, there's not much structure in terms of it standing up on its own compared to this one that I make in the video. So if you'd like to see how I made this, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching and have an amazing day. Bye. Okay, let's start with all of our external pieces. I have one strap here for my crossbody strap. I've not interfaced this at all. I've just marked my line down the center and added double-sided tape. So I've got one of those. I have got two handles cut as per the pattern. I've not interfaced those. I've done the same as the crossbody strap, the line down the center and the double-sided tape. Two of those. I've got one pocket trim. I've gone ahead and I've marked my line down the center and added double-sided tape for that. Again, I've not interfaced this piece either. One of those. I have two zipper overlays. The pattern does come with this piece, so I've got two of those, not interfaced, and I have gone ahead and added double-sided tape to those as well. So I've got two of these. I've got four wings. I have interfaced these with Decaville Heavy. I've gone ahead and marked the lines that I need to be able to fold it over as per the pattern. I have gone ahead and prepared three already, but left this one unprepared for the video. Make sure that you mirror these, so there'll be two sets mirrored. So you'll have four in total, but two sets. So four of those. This here is my decorative patch. I've gone ahead and I've put Decaville Heavy as per the pattern and marked my lines as per the pattern. One of those. I've got two strap connectors here. So two strap connectors. I have my contrast lining panel. I've got two of these and I've interfaced these with Decaville White as per the pattern. So two of those. I've got two recessed zipper panels and I've interfaced those with Decaville Light as per the pattern. Now, I did extend this pattern piece 2 inches and I'll go over that when I do the video, but this is the only modification that I made just because I wanted my bag when it was closed just to come to the end a little bit longer than what it was already. So again, I have increased this 2 inches. So two of those. I've got my base piece. I've gone ahead and I've marked my purse feet. I've added Decaville Heavy to the base out of my seam allowances as per the pattern. I have gone ahead and basted foam over the top and I've interfaced all my main pieces with foam. I've kept it in my seam allowances because my machine won't have problems with it. If you're sewing on a domestic and you want to use foam, take it out of your seam allowances. So I've got one base panel. My side panels, I've got two of these. I've gone ahead and I've marked as per the pattern. You need to make sure that you mark these on all of your pieces because we need this for our drop-in lining. So I've got two side panels and I've also gone ahead and marked my seam allowance. So I've got two side panels and I've interfaced that with Decaville Light out of my seam allowances, but then I've interfaced it with foam on top of that and I've kept it in my seam allowances and I've just basted that on. So I've got two side panels. My exterior front and back, exactly the same as my side panels. I've marked as per the pattern where you're meant to, interfaced it with Decaville Light as per the pattern, and then I've added foam over the top. Obviously, I've kept it out of this top part because we are going to fold that down and that becomes our drop-in lining. So I've got two of those. Now, lining pieces. I've got 4 zipper pocket linings. This is waterproof canvas. I've not interfaced any of my linings with anything. So I've got 4 of those for my zipper pocket lining. I've got my slip pocket. I have gone ahead and I have marked my seams as per the pattern because we do fold these in and it's just easier when it comes to sew it together. So I have done that. So I've just gone ahead and prepared my slip pocket the best that I can for now. So I've got one of these, again, waterproof canvas, not interfaced with anything. I've got 2 lining pieces for my recessed zipper panel. I have gone ahead and I have increased this 2 inches, so it is different to what's in the pattern. 2 of those. I have 1 base piece lining, one of those, and I've not interfaced that with anything. And then I have 2 lining pieces as per the pattern. Again, not interfaced with anything. I have gone ahead already and found my centres on those. So 2 main lining pieces. Hardware. I have 4 handle connectors. These ones here I got from A Passion for Vinyl. And these are all 1 inch. So you attach these to the bag with screws. I love these. They're so classy. So I've got 4 of these. I've got 2 rectangle rings. I'm using Chicago screws instead of rivets. I've got 1 adjustable slider. This is a wide mouth slider. 1 of those. I've got my purse feet here. It calls for 5 purse feet. Those. I've got 3 number 5 zipper pulls. And I'm just using these hexagon ones. 3 of those. I've got 2 swivel clasps for my crossbody strap. I've got a zipper end, 1 of those. I've got my name tag, 1 of those. I've got strap ends. I've got 2 of these. And then I have a sew-in label that says, now this bag took forever to create. When I say forever, I mean forever. This I got from Mirzen, so I'm going to sew that into my bag. And I think that's it for hardware. I'm going to use this ombre zipper tape that I got from Temu. And I chose that obviously for the purples, but all of the other colours are in my lining. So that's why I've chosen this. I believe that's it. If I have forgotten anything, I'll leave a note on the screen. So let's get sewing this bag. You want to get all your wing pieces and you want to get your decorative patch. And we want to do this first because we are going to use glue and we want this to dry quickly. So if you can use a fast drying glue, that would be great. I've already gone ahead on my wings and I've done 3 already, just for time's sake, but we'll do this one together. What you want to do is you've got a straight edge and then you've got your curved edge. We are not doing any folding on this straight edge at all. What we're going to do is we're going to use the side of our stabilizer and we're going to use that as the crease to fold our edges over to create a finished edge. I'm just using this fabric glue, which is Helmer's, and I get this from Spotlight. And this is pretty quick drying. I like to start at the top. So go ahead and put some glue. Now, what I'm not going to do is add glue into this corner here. So I've left this little triangle here and I'm going to snip that out. So all I've done is I've drawn my seam allowance on the top and the side, and I've just trimmed that little corner out and I'm going to fold over my top. Now on this edge here where it is a straight edge, you will have an overhang, but we end up cutting that out later. And you want to go ahead and clip this. So we will come in later and just trim off this little bit here. Then what we want to do is we want to fold in this. Now this edge here can be a little bit tricky because we want it to be finished. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in and just trim out the tiniest little triangle there, so that when I fold it over, I can fold it in as much as I can so that this becomes a finished edge. So I'm just going to take the clip off that side. I'm going to add my glue down this side. Again, I'm using the side of my stabilizer as my fold mark. So I'm just going to fold all this bit in and I'm going to do this top bit last. So I'm just going to add a little bit more glue to the bottom here. I'm going to fold this in. Now I'm not really going to stress too much about this point here at the tip because that gets sewn onto the bag, so we're not going to see that. That'll be in our seam allowance. So I'm just going to stop there, and that little bit there I'm just going to leave it. Then I'm going to come back up here to where these two edges are, and I'm going to add a little bit more glue. You can use double-sided tape if that works easier for you. And then I'm going to try and pinch these together to create a point. And at the same time, get my little screwdriver. And what I want to do is I want to sort of pull it in and squish it down. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling it in and squishing it down. I'm going to quickly put a clip on there. And then I'm going to turn it over to the right side just to make sure that from this side, that is a finished edge and you cannot see any raw edges, which I can't. But I just want to be sure, so I'm just going to pull that in just a little bit more. I'm going to clip it into place, and I am going to add some more glue there. You can use double-sided tape if you need to. So again, I'm just pulling that in to make sure that that's as flat as I can get it, so that when I turn it over the other side, you're not going to see any raw ends. I'm going to quickly put another clip there while that dries. And I know that you can't see it, but I will show it. That edge there is completely finished. You cannot see any raw edges. And that's what you want. So just fiddle with it until you're happy that it's as you want it, and then set it aside to dry. Next, we want to move on to our decorative flap. Now, because this is getting sewn, this top edge is getting sewn to the top edge of our bag, go ahead and just find the center of your top. We do not need to worry about folding this part down. So the top gets left. This is the bit that we're folding in. So we're going to fold in our sides and our base. Again, we're using that Decaville as our guide to do our folds. So you will have to make a couple of trims. You might need to do some notches to get it to fold over correctly, but just clip it as you go and just work in little sections. And just clip it into place. And this is a great place for you to put your logo if you've got one, your metal tags, or if you've got like a handmade tag, this will be the perfect place to put it. And I'm getting glue everywhere but on this decorative patch. So I'm just doing my sides first. Now we're down the bottom, I'm going to come in to the center and I'm going to fold these bits up first. And just fold it round. If you need to put some snips in there, do so to make it lay flat. Usually if you roll it out, it'll sit flat. I'm going to have to put a little snip in there. So if you put a little snip, it just allows them to overlay slightly so it'll sit flatter. However, if you put a little snip in, do not snip too much, otherwise you will not be able to fold it and you will see a raw edge. So just do it a very little. We want to do the same. So I'm just going to put a little snip in here. I'm going to do a little notch there. And I'm going to fold it, take out a little bit more, And you can come in from this side and just fold it over until you do not see any raw edges. It's probably best to do it from the front because you can see that curve there. Now this is quite bulky here, so you can just come in and trim that down, because the more bulk that you've got, the more bulk that you need to sew over. And again, for this side here as well. Just going to snip a little bit. It's probably too much glue, but it'll be fine. And again, come in from the front side and fold it all down. Oh, got glue everywhere. A little bit of a bulk bit there, so just cut that out just like so. Just add more glue if you need to, because you really do want this to stick. And you want to come in and just make sure that that curves as you want it, and then that's it. You can set that to the side to dry and we can move on. First, I'm going to do my handles and get these out of the way. I have gone ahead and done my crossbody strap off camera because I've done that plenty of times before. This is my crossbody strap. As I said, I've just gone ahead and done that off camera and that's ready to go. With my handles, all I've done is I've marked a line down the center and added double-sided tape. I'm going to fold these in to the middle, but I am going to leave a gap just above that line so that I can fold it over again and it folds evenly. As I did on my crossbody strap, I'm actually going to do 4 rows of stitching. So again, leaving that gap in the middle so you can fold it over evenly. It doesn't have to be a big gap, like 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to sew that 1/8 of an inch from the open edge to begin with. I have got a full bobbin and I'm using a size 21 needle. And I am going to come across at the bottom and then back down the other side. And then on the top. I'm just going to come in a full foot width from the stitching line that I just did, which is going to be 3/8 from the edge of that handle. And I am going to add strap ends on the end of these. They're my 4 rows of stitching. So I'm going to go ahead and do it for the other handle as well. that's it. Our handles are done. We can sit those to the side. Okay, next you want your front and your back panels. You also want your pattern piece. So on your pattern piece, it gives you positions for the wings. So what you're going to do is you're going to transfer those markings onto both of your front and exterior pieces. So I'm just going to do a little clip on the side here. And then that is where our wing gets lined up. So go ahead and do your markings on each piece. I'm not necessarily worried about the bottom lining up, more so the top. On your pattern piece, if you don't want to clip the wings the same way that I did, what you can do is just cut out exactly where your wings are meant to go and then line your pattern piece up and do it that way. I need to decide what I want from the front, and okay, this is going to be my front. So the reason that I've chosen this to be my front is because this decorative patch that we've got that I'm going to attach my nameplate on matches up in with the colour at the top of this panel. Whereas on the back one, it's just a little bit lighter. So I think that it would go better with the front. So that's why I've chosen that to be my front. But what you want to do is you want to get your wings. And remember, the straight edges match up with the straight edge of your exterior panels. So I'm just going to add double-sided tape here. I'm going to add double-sided tape to this as well. I'm just going to do a little bit down the bottom because remember that we still have to put, we've got a guide where we stitch on this. So I'm just going to put it at the bottom for now and sit that to the side. But what we want to do is we want to match up that little clip that we made, which is right here for me. And we want to match up the edge, the top edge of our wing. And we're going to stick that down. So there's my little nick there. So I'm just going to put the top edge of my wing and I'm going to line that up with the snip that I made, and I'm going to clip all of this to the side. This is going to be a lot because I do have foam on the back, but my machine's good. She can handle it. Now I'm only doing this for my front. I'm not going to put this on the back panel yet because I need to do my zipper overlay first. So this is just for the front. Again, find your clip, which is right there, and line your edges up. And stick it down. And clip that into place. Now remember that your connectors do go through this piece. So that's my front, and then the decorative patch will go on there as well, and then that's where we'll put our nameplate, but we'll do that part soon. Next, what we want to do is we want to put on our zipper overlay. So go ahead and get your zipper overlay. Make sure that you're using a removable pen. Then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and you want to mark out where your zipper overlay is going to be. So that's how far down I want mine. I'm going to find the center of my zipper overlay. I'm just going to crease it. Obviously you can't do any notches in it. So just slightly crease it so you can line it up in the center. Just going to mark my center as well. I can use my Mega Max tool from Brimax for this. There we go. That's where I want it. Oh, sticking it to everything but where it's meant to go. There we go, and then once you're happy with that, you can remove the bottom part of your tape. Now I'm going to go ahead and top stitch that on. I can remove those marks because I don't need those. Make sure when you are doing this part that your guide is at the top. You don't want to do this back to front or upside down. And I'm just going to stitch on the outside of an 1/8 of an inch on the outside edge. I'm going to start up here in this corner because it is darker purple, and I'm not going to worry about pulling my threads through. Just going to go nice and slow. And then up. Now I'm not sure if I have mentioned this or not as yet, but this is actually the second time that I am making this bag. The first time I completed it, I went to edit the video, and all the middle of the bag was missing. The whole lot was just not there. I could not believe it. I was absolutely devastated. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half, make a snip in the center. Now this is thick because of the foam. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim the foam down and out of the way because I do not need that. Now that the foam's removed, I'm going to come in and just cut just inside this box. Again, this is quite thick because I have got Decaville on this piece as well. Then what I'm going to have to do is very carefully come in and snip away my exterior and my Decaville. Now this doesn't have to be pretty because no one will see it, but please be careful that you don't cut through your exterior, because if you do, you're going to be really upset. Duckbill scissors would work well for this as well. So you just need to clear this inside box. And I'm trying to pull it up as I go so I've got less chance of cutting through that exterior. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm doing. So again, it does not have to look pretty because no one is going to see it. But I've got most of the foam out of there, and then that's what it's going to look like on the outside. So now that that's done, what I can do is I'm actually going to go ahead and stick down my side wings. So again, remember, the straight edge goes against the straight edge. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this into place. Again, I'm matching up the top edge of my wing with that snip that I made earlier. Okay, so I've got my main panel here. I've just had to jump forward to the decorative patch because I actually ended up having to do another wing because mine didn't match. With your decorative patch, in the pattern you've got a decorative stitch template. Go ahead and lay that over the top of your decorative patch. You're going to trace out the guide, and this will be an additional row of stitching that we do. Make sure that you're using a pen that you can wipe away. So you can go ahead and do this before you actually fold your edges over to create your final decorative patch. I've just done mine a little bit back to front. I am going to pull my tails through to the back because this is quite light compared to my thread. So I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch around that guide that I just traced, and I'm not going to back stitch. And I am going to go really slow so I get the best possible curves that I can. Oh, I went to back stitch. Okay. Turn this over, pull this to the back. And then we can tie these off. Before I put this onto my main piece, I'm actually going to mark the space that I need for my nameplate. So I'm just going to get rid of my marks. Now I'm going to mark the center, just like that. And then I can go ahead and line this up. And I'm going to just mark my holes there. And they'll be there for when I need to sew it onto the bag. I can get rid of my markings, and then we can top stitch this on our bag. Again, this template guide is from Brymax. Okay, so now that I've got that marked, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line this up in the center, and I am going to top stitch this on. So I'm just going to do it 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and then I can go ahead and install my nameplate. Now, take off your tape just to help stick it down. Because this is the top seam, I can back stitch on this part. Again, 1/8 of an inch from that edge. And I'm just going to base the top as well while I'm here. Oh, ran out of bobbin. Now I do just want to come back a couple of stitches before I ran out of bobbin. Now this should hopefully be in my seam, so Now we can finish across the top. I am going to leave the foam here because I want my nameplate to have that extra layer. So I'm going to need my craft knife, my nameplate and my washer. Go ahead and make those holes. Through there. Make sure it's completely flat. Put my washer on. And flatten these out. And I am going to cover it with masking tape so that this does not rub through to my lining. I like to use a lot. Never be too careful, right? And that's my nameplate put on. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch our wings on. I'm going to start down the bottom in the corner and come up. That way I can back stitch and you won't see it. An 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And then we want to come across the top. Into that corner and then back down. And then across the bottom. And that's done. That's what it's looking like from the back side. And then we want to do the other one. So I'm going to start up in this corner here. And then up. That's what it looks like. We're going to go ahead and repeat the same steps for the other side. Okay, and then the next side. Now my first one of these bags I didn't use foam. But I love a structured bag. I don't like a floppy bag, unless it's designed that way. So the more structure, the better. Okay, there's our wings done. Second side. This is going to look amazing. Next step. Okay, now we want to put in our zipper. So you want to get your zipper pull and your zipper tape. You want your zipper tape, your zipper pull, and 2 of your zipper pocket linings. Make sure that you heat seal the ends of your zippers. If not, you've got more chance of your zipper fraying. I'm not going to put my zipper pull on yet, so what I'm going to do is I've got my lining right side up, my zipper right side up, and I'm going to stitch that, baste that on using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this up and over, and I'm going to top stitch down that seam. You could use double-sided tape, I just find it easier to top stitch. And you're going to get your other zipper piece, right sides up, and same as before, baste that into place using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now this is how I do zipper pockets that are going into zipper overlays. And then I'm flipping this up and I'm going to top stitch this seam down. I'm now going to put my zipper pull on, and I want my zipper closing to the left. Just like so. I'm going to move it all the way off to the left, and I'm going to put a clip there so it doesn't come off. I'm going to use some 1/8 inch wide double-sided tape, and I'm going to put some just up here so that it sits there properly, hopefully in place while we install it into our overlay. Now you want your exterior, and we're going to line this up, and we're going to sew this into place. Now you want to make sure when you're lining this up that your zipper tape, you have got enough on each edge to cover your zipper hole that we cut earlier. Otherwise it's got a chance of pulling back through. So once you're happy that that's in place, you can go ahead and you can take off the backing off your double-sided tape, if it wants to come off, that is. Mine does not. It wants to come off in one piece. Oh, there we go. And I'm going to make sure that that's exactly where I want it to be, and it's straight. And then I'm going to take off the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to sew an 1/8 inch around the outside and obviously bring my zipper pull in. I am going to start just here in the corner so I can make sure that so that you won't see the back stitching. You also want to make sure both pieces of your zipper pocket are laying flat. I'm going to get to here and I'm going to bring my zipper pull in. Make sure if you're using a really big zipper pull you leave yourself enough room. Okay, that's through. I'm going to zip it all the way back up so the teeth align. Now I can do my zipper all the way up. And back stitch. This is what it's looking like on the other edge, on the other side. Get rid of my clip. You can trim down your zipper tape. Just make sure that if you do, you heat seal your ends again. I'm going to lay these down together. There will be an overhang, and I'm going to seal this at the bottom. And I am going to just come up the sides and I'm going to stop once I get to the bottom of that zipper tape. So we can fold in our edges here, fold in your edge, and we can sew up the side. Then you can sew over the zipper tape. And I'm just going to back stitch over that twice. And there goes my scissors. I just completely had a mental blank of how to sew this up. That's why I did it different on the first time, the first side. It'll still work. Now that I know what I'm doing, I am going to come in and sew this side up at the top like I should have done in the first place. So I'm folding this back and I'm sewing this side up as well. And I'm back stitching well over that zipper tape. And we can go ahead and trim off the excess at the bottom because we don't need that. And then that is our completed zipper pocket for our back panel. Love it. And I really love the gradient of the purples. Okay, we've got to install our connectors. Okay, so you want both your front and exterior, and you want all of your connector pieces. Here's mine. These are the washers and the screws, so I'm going to put those on a magnet because no doubt I will lose them if I don't. The position for this isn't specified in the pattern, but it gives you guides on where to place these depending on the connectors that you are using. So you would go ahead and place these as per the guide given in the pattern. When you do your markings, make sure that as per the pattern you measure from your curved edge, so your finished edge. These connectors I got from A Passion for Vinyl, and I used these on my original bag as well. So what I'm going to do is pop that there on the halfway, and I'm going to push just there so I can see my holes right there. half an inch down. This is what I'm doing. Half an inch down, an inch in from the edge is my halfway point. I'm going to line up my halfway points right there and press. And then right there are my placings. If you're going to make a lot of these bags, it's probably best to do a template. And you're going to use the same connectors for all bags. And then you can go ahead and you can punch all your holes. Now, to sew the sides on, I am going to have to switch to a zipper foot, because where we have to sew this on, it gets very close to these connectors. Make sure when you're doing this that your zipper pocket is out of the way. You don't really want to punch a hole through that. Now that that's done, we can go ahead and install our connectors. So you've obviously got to line it all up. I've got my washer. It's probably best just to line one side up first. Get that partially put in and then do the other side. There we go, I got that side. Now we just need this side. I think that's in. Yep, that's in. I can cover this up with some tape. Go ahead and install the other three. That's what it looks like once you've got your connectors installed. Now, make sure that they're in correctly. Yes. They're all done. You want to put those to the side. Okay, next you want your strap holders and your side panels. We're going to need double-sided tape. You want to go ahead and place a line down the center. Next you want to put some double-sided tape, 2 rows of double-sided tape on either side of the line that we've just created. I'm just using 1/4 inch wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold these into the center, but you want to remember what side your Decaville or your stabilizer's on. So mine's pointing towards the machine. So go ahead, remove your tape and fold these in to meet each other in the middle. Now, because these don't get folded over again, they can meet completely in the middle. We don't need to leave a gap. And we do need to put some markings on these. So make sure that you've got a marker that can be wiped away. So I'm just going to do this next one. And again, my stabilizer end is still pointing towards my machine. Okay, so now my stabilizer end is pointing towards me. Okay, so what we're going to do is the end that's got the Decaville on it, we're going to make some markings. These markings are given in the pattern. Okay, so once we've done those markings, you're going to sew up from the bottom. So this is the edge that has your stabilizer. You're going to top stitch to the top of that line across and then back down the other end at 1/8 of an inch. And then back down the other side again at 1/8 of an inch. And then we're going to repeat for this side. Okay, that's done. Then we've got some other markings that we need to make. Now, you want to mark what it says in the pattern. It tells you what gap you need to leave between the two. Now, we're going to sew this at 3/8 inch. What we're going to do is sew up the end, across, and then back down, just as we did on the other side. Up to that edge, and then back down. And set that to the side, and then repeat for your other side. Again, 3/8 of an inch. Now we're going to run some double-sided tape on the wrong side, and we're going to run it up the bottom lot of stitching that we just made. So where the 3/8 inch top stitching is, that's where we're going to put our tape. Okay, next you want to get your rectangle rings. Now you can use D-rings if you wish. You can use triangle rings if you wish. What you want to do is you want to make sure that if your hardware that you're using has a seam, you want the seam of your hardware to match the seam of your connector. We're going to fold that over. Where we finished our top stitching, you want your connector to come 1/4 of an inch below where we finished top stitching. So just mark 1/4 of an inch. Just put a little mark there on both sides. And then have the top portion sit on that line. And you can clip that into place. Again, the seam of my D-ring is against the seam of my connector, down to that 1/4 inch line. Now what we're going to do is get your side panels. Make sure that you've got your centers. Just going to mark my center there so I can ensure that it's straight. What you can do from your center line is you can mark 1/2 inch to the left and draw a mark. Peel off your double-sided tape and line that up against the mark that you just made. Just like so. And then you can clip that into place, and you can do that for both. Now what we want to do is we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch up from this outside edge. We're going to come across where we stopped our top stitch here. We're going to come all the way across and then 1/8 of an inch back down. Now 1/4 of an inch of this is going to be your back part of your connector, so just keep that in mind. What you can do is just mark across here where you're going to sew so that you can guarantee that it's going to line up. Now, when I come to here, to the sides here, I'm going to use my screwdriver just to push in these edges of the connector so that they're not poking out the side. The clip was rather rude, the way that it just broke. And we are going to put rivets in here, or Chicago screws in my case. So again, 1/8 of an inch up, across and back down. So just here, I'm going to use my screwdriver just to make sure that my sides, that the back of that connector is pushed in and it's not going to come out. Okay, I'm up to that line. I can come across. And then back down the other side. And again, I'm going to push in this side connector, the back, because I do not want that poking out. And I'm going to break more clips. That one was my fault that time. And I can base the bottom as well. So we're going to put a rivet right here and right here. Or Chicago screw. You know what I mean. Now this one. I'm going to use my rivet spacing template from Brimax, and I'm going to mark the placement for my rivets. Okay, I'm going to put one right there and then one right there. I love these rivet spacing templates. They make sure everything's all lined up every time. It does give you measurements in the pattern on where to place these. While I've got this out though, I may as well go ahead, after I've punched these holes, I might go ahead while I've got this out and do the holes for my base as well, for my purse feet. I think that's what I'll do. Now on the base in the pattern, it does give you, you can do additional stitching if you want on this. I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and install my Chicago screws. These ones here I actually got from Temu, these Chicago screws, and I don't mind them because they've actually got really long screws. So it makes it easier to install. Because the problem sometimes with Chicago screws is that you have to spend a long time trying to line it up. But these longer screws, it's a lot easier. Use a piece of non-slip mat to hold while you tighten them. And just like always, I'm going to cover those with tape because you don't need anything rubbing through on your lining. That's what it's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead while I've got all this out and do my base. So I'm going to go ahead and install my purse feet. So I'm just going to put the screws through the back. I love these screw-on purse feet. They're so quick and easy. And then they just screw on. Use your non-slip mat to hold the bag foot in place while you screw it. So, got those installed. Go ahead, cover those over. Okay, next what you want to do is you want to get your exterior panels and your side panels, and we're going to put all these together. So we're going to match up right sides to right sides. So your side panel to your front panel, and we're going to match those up. You will, depending on the connectors that you're using, you're most likely going to have to change to a zipper foot. I've put my zipper foot on. I've only ever used this once before, but I really need to use it with these connectors to get as close to the seam allowance as possible. I have gone ahead and I have actually marked the seam allowance on my panel so that it's easier for me. Just be very mindful of where your connector is. Yes, I would not have been able to sew this if I did not change to my zipper foot, that's for sure. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. What I am going to do, like you can see how close we got to that connector. There is not much gap at all. What I am going to do is I am going to come in and do a second row of stitching just beside the first one, just to avoid it pulling when I turn it or when I do the next seam. Now, I am not going to sew the first inch because that becomes our drop-in lining. So I'm going to start below that inch line. And I am going to stop just before my seam allowance for the bottom. Okay, now if you do want to top stitch, you want to push your seams to the side panel and you're going to top stitch through the side panel, not your exterior part. Okay, now it says that what we can do is we can just go ahead where our 1 inch mark is here at the top, just put a snip just to reduce the bulk. So you can do that for the top and the bottom. So I'm going to top stitch. My seams are underneath my side panel. I would not recommend top stitching with a zipper foot on, but it's done. Looks good. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to glue this while I do the other side. I just want to glue these sides, these bottom seams open on the top and the bottom. I think that's just going to help. And the top. And you want to go ahead and repeat the same process for the other side. Okay. I'm going to get my exterior and I'm going to attach it to this side piece. Just want to make sure that your zipper pulls out of the way. I'm going to come back in and do that second lot of stitching. Again, I'm going to not come in and start my second row just under that 1 inch mark. And I'm going to stop it just before my bottom seam allowance. I'm just going to snip as we did earlier and top stitch. I need to top stitch from this side just because of the foot that I've got on. Again, make sure that your seam is underneath your side panel. Look at how amazing that looks though. Look at it. I'm just going to come in and glue these open as I did before. And then this side. Coming in with my second row of stitching. Again, ensure your seams are going to the right, are going underneath your side panel. Okay, I just want to put this under there. I do not want this scratched. Thought for a minute it had torn up my vinyl. It has not, thank goodness. Last side. Glue these open. And the second row. I'm scared to top stitch. Our last side. Now it is going to be tricky because you've got all this bag in your way, but just go slow and we can do it. And then we can take our zipper foot off. Just make sure, again, your seam is going underneath that side panel. I'm just making sure that it's all pushed out of my way. And that the seam is going under that side panel. last little bit. Now it doesn't matter if the top little bit isn't the prettiest, because that's going to be in our drop-in lining. Now I can take my zipper foot off and I can glue these seams open. Next we're going to do the base. We're going to match up all of our sides. I'm going to start with the back, right sides together. This is a big bag. I'm just going to do a few clips on either side of my center point. So basically before the bag starts curving, then I'm going to come to the other side and do the same. Now that that's just like so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and just baste these sides on so they're not going to move when I'm trying to clip everything else. So I'm just going to baste it at 1/4 inch, just along these straight edges. Okay, and then this side, just at 1/4 inch. You can baste it whatever seam allowance you want, just as long as it's within your normal seam allowance. Now, that's not going to move. Then I can come to the ends and match these up. Now your side bit here should match up with the side, the middle of your side connector. Now we are going to have to put snips in here to make it fit, but just go ahead and line these up first. Okay, so we're just going to make a couple of snips just in here. You only want to do it very slightly within your seam allowance. An 1/8 inch is all I'm doing. You do that on all round parts. You do not want to snip too high or you're going to cut into your seam allowance and that's not going to be good. Now we can work this around and push it in to fit within our seam allowance. You might need to add staples, a couple of staples. Let's just see how it goes with clips for now. Oh look, that works in perfectly. I'm going to go ahead and staple it actually, because I just don't want it to move. So I'm just stapling it within the seam allowance. Staples are your friend. When you cut the base of your bag, there were snips that you did in the sides. So you did your centers and your outside, but then you also had off center just here. They should match up with your side seams. Just those little snips that we did into our bag has just allowed this to sit in perfectly. I definitely recommend staples. So I'm just using my screwdriver to hold that flat. Definitely use staples, especially if you're using foam. Now you do want to use anything that you can to try and flatten the seam out, because the last thing you want are puckers. Okay, now I'm back to the beginning. I am going to come around and do a second line. Now this should be relatively easy considering that everything's already stitched down. And back to the beginning. Check the inside to make sure there's no puckers. Looks good. Okay, so now that that's all sewn up, we can go ahead and remove all your staples. I have checked the bag to make sure that there's no puckers. There's none that I can see, so that's good news. So now we're just going to go ahead and remove all the staples, and you want to make sure that you get all of them. I'm not going to go ahead and trim the seam on the bottom. I haven't trimmed any of the other seams, so I'm just going to leave the base as it is. When you think you've gotten all the staples out, make sure that you come in and run your fingers along your seams to make sure, because there's probably one hiding. They tend to do that. Okay, again, run your fingers along. Make sure there's none left in there. Okay, I'm pretty sure I've gotten them all. I've triple, quadruple checked. Now we can turn it inside out and see how it looks, because it's a drop-in lining. You can use a hairdryer if it's too hard to turn, just to warm up your vinyl. Wow, I am so happy that I used foam. The shape that foam gives a bag is just amazing. Love it. Love it. Look at that. Like connectors. Like, this is a really big bag. That is beautiful. I love the zipper. I am so happy I used foam. So happy. Now what I'm going to do before I start on my lining is you can run double-sided tape along the inside edge of your seam here, because what we're going to do is this gets folded down to that top line and that becomes our drop-in lining. What I'm actually going to do is, it's 2 a.m. so I'm going to do this and then go to bed, and I'll come back tomorrow and do the lining. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and glue this into place so it can sit overnight. So I'm just going to glue it down so that it sits along that edge. I'm going to clip it and leave it, and then I'll come back tomorrow and finish the rest of the bag. I always do use glue for drop-in linings. I just make sure that I only use a little bit. So I'm just going to fold this down. And clip it into place. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for the whole bag, and then we'll be back tomorrow to do the lining and finish it, because it's nearly done. We're going to work on our recessed zipper panel. Now, in the portion of the video where I talk about the pattern pieces, I do explain that I did increase this 2 inches. So my recessed zipper panel is 2 inches longer than what is in the pattern. I have my recessed zipper panel exterior. I've got 2 of these. So what I've done is I've measured in 7/8 on the end, and I've put a line there. Added a row of double-sided tape. I'm going to fold my end up to meet that first drawn line, and I've done that on all pieces, so my 2 external and my 2 lining. I have also gone ahead and ironed my zipper tape as well, so I'm just going to fold that edge up to meet that line, and I'm going to do that, as I said, on all 4 pieces. I'd absolutely love to know where winter's gone because it is hot here today. So I've just made the same markings on my lining and I'm folding that up to that line. I have cut my zipper tape really long because I want it to hang off the end. I don't want it to get in the way of doing this next step. Oh, Twinkle Toes are grumpy at me for being out here. They're like, no, not today. Can you please leave? Nope. The vinyl wants to lift. So I'm just going to clip it down. Show it who's boss. I did also go ahead and wind 2 new bobbins just in case. I'm not going to need 2 bobbins, but I want to make sure that I've got a full bobbin when it comes to the top stitching part of this bag. Okay, we can set these aside for now. And we want our zipper tape. As I said, I've cut mine really long. I'm going to leave the end here, my zipper pull here at the end, so it's not going to get in the way. I've gone ahead and I've just measured a 1-inch line from the edge just to make sure that it's straight, and we're going to do that 90-degree turn. So I'm separating that. So at that line that I made, I'm going to fold it along that line, and I'm going to push the back of this zipper tape up to create the 90-degree fold. So the top where you made that mark should be sitting just underneath your zipper tape. And I'm going to pin mine into place. Some people use their lighter to singe it and it'll stay in place. I'm just going to use pins because that works for me. So then that's what that looks like. So again, that fold is sitting just underneath my zipper teeth. And you want to do that on both sides. So you just pinch it and fold it back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a basting stitch on the side just to tack that down. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And then we can cut off the excess zipper tape at the sides, and then we'll heat seal that so that it doesn't fray. So I'm just going to trim off the overhang. My fan's blowing my light off. Okay, I'm going to take one of my exterior pieces and my zipper tape right sides down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look down here where that fold is, and I'm going to start my zipper tape. I'm going to make sure that the teeth of my zipper tape are lined up with that edge. And I'm going to clip this into place. Now when you come to the end of this, what you want to do is you want to stop sewing before you run off the edge of your zipper tape, because if you don't, it's going to show on your recessed zipper panel. You could use double-sided tape for this if you wanted to, instead of basting it. So that's how it is. You can go ahead and separate your zipper completely if you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and baste this on. This is done differently in the pattern. In the pattern, you actually sew right sides together of your exteriors to create the finished seam on one end. I've just done mine using the fold over method. Okay, so the edge I can see, I do not want to sew off that edge. So I'm going to stop just about 1/8 of an inch before the edge of my exterior. So as you can see, I've stopped right there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get your lining and you're going to join that right sides together so your zipper is in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at this end and we're going to sew at our full seam allowance to the other edge, but again we're going to stop before we hit the edge of our vinyl. Now the best thing about double-sided tape is vinyl can stretch. Waterproof canvas doesn't stretch, but you can get to the end and find out that even though you're completely lined up this end, they're not lined up the other end. So what you can do is you can just take your lining, unpeel it, and then resituate it so that they're completely even on both ends. Mine are matching up, so that's good. Again, if they don't, just unpeel this and resituate it. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that. And again, at your full seam allowance. I do not have my zipper foot on, so I will be doing this at 1/4 inch. And I'm going to stop 1/8 inch before I hit the edge of that zipper, the zipper panel. I do not want to sew any further than that. Then what you can do before you turn it is you can come in here and just trim down your edges to reduce bulk, but you do not want to trim through any of your zipper tape. And you can do that on both edges, both ends. So just trim that down. Again, this is to reduce bulk. Then what I'm going to do is flip these right sides out. And I'm going to clip these together because we do top stitch this. And I'm going to line up the bottoms first, just like so. And then we're going to repeat the same steps for the opposite side. So then that's what we have. And that's on the underside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here in the corner. I'm going to come up and I'm top stitching, so I'm basting this raw edge, and then I'm coming up and I'm top stitching along here and then back down. And then across the top. And I'm just making sure not to pull on my zipper because you do not want it to be wavy. And then back down. Just like so. That's 1/2 done, and we're going to repeat for the other side. Again, I did cut my zipper extra long because I'm also not sure how much of a tail I want to leave. So we've got our end here. So this here on the opposite side is where we're going to line up our zipper teeth. Obviously this time, because it is right sides together, we're doing it from this far end. So it is right sides together. You can separate your zipper if you find that easier. Again, you can use double-sided tape and that'll mean that you won't have to baste it, but I'm quite happy just to baste mine. I did see on one of the Facebook groups the other day, this poor lady had done her whole bag, put her recess zipper in, and realised that her zipper was upside down. Oh, it broke my heart. Now that that's attached, I'm just going to go ahead and pull that out of the way. And I'm going to start sewing from this end. Now, because this is the end that we're finishing on, I'm going to start about 1/8 inch before the end of my recessed zipper panel. Just there. If you sew off onto your zipper tape, you're going to see that. Then we're going to get our lining and we're going to do that right sides together, clip that into place. Again, because I do not have my zipper foot on, I'm just going to sew this at a quarter of an inch. And I'm sewing this at my full seam allowance. Again, if your ends don't match up, adjust them. Okay, I'm going to come in here, trim this down on both sides, again to reduce bulk without cutting my zipper tape. I do have to apologise if you can hear lots of weird noises. The neighbours are doing karate training outside and it's very loud. Okay, push these back. I'm going to line up the bottom. Do you use clips when you sew, or do you just hold it and hope for the best? We had a discussion in one of the groups that I'm in the other day. I published my Brentwood backpack video from Ororosa, and one of the ladies had commented and said, "Oh, you're a clip girl, like I love how you use clips." And I was surprised to know that a lot of people don't. I'm terrified that it's going to slip and then I have to start again. I do not want that. But yeah, so do you use clips or do you just hold it? Okay, so I'm going to do the same as before. I'm going to start in this corner, come up, and then back down the other side. So this here is just a basting stitch because this is my raw end. And then up this side, back down. So this is my top stitch here. Again, I'm not pulling on that zipper. And done. Now I have already gone ahead and found the centers for the next step, so once we've done this we can go ahead and put it aside. If you haven't found your centers, now's the time to do it. So this here now is our beautiful zipper panel. Look at that, recessed zipper panel, and then that's the underside of it. So we can set that to the side. First I'm going to go ahead and do my slip pocket. I also want my tag. Because of the way that this is sewn and the way that we folded our edges in, so in the pattern it actually gives you measurements, just like so, of how to fold your edges in. So you could use double-sided tape or you could just leave it as is. But what we're going to do is we're actually just going to baste these top raw edges here. Make sure that your sides are in, because that creates the finished edge on your sides. And I'm just going to baste this top edge because this is where we're going to put the trim. Okay, so this is what we should have. Then we're going to put the trim on My pocket trim, I've just marked a line down the centre and added double-sided tape. I'm going to place the top edge just on that line. Press that down, and then I'm going to fold the top edge over. Now I can see here that my back of this trim is actually longer than the front. I'm okay with that because I have a tendency of not catching the back when I sew. So I'm fine with that being a little bit longer. Normally I put my tag at the end, but I'm going to put it just here, I think in the middle. And then we can go ahead and top stitch this down. And I'm just going to sew it 1/8 of an inch from that bottom edge to begin with. And then I'll probably do a second row of top stitching at the top. Come in and just trim that so it's even on both edges. Perfect. Now, did I get it on the opposite side? Yes, I did. I am going to do a second row of top stitching 1/8 of an inch from the top edge. Now we want to get one of our lining pieces. So on your pattern piece, it actually gives you the placement for your slip pocket position as well as your zipper pocket. I'm just going to fold this in half so I can find the center. And then I'm going to place that as per the pattern. So because this is slippery, I am going to use hemming clips to hold this in place while I top stitch this on. It's just going to make sure that it doesn't shift. I might actually divide this pocket. I wasn't going to, but I think I will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here, top stitch, I'm going to come across, I'm going to come up, across, and then back down. I probably should have put that over a little bit more, but it is what it is. And I'm going to make sure to back stitch well at the beginning and the end, because these are going to be stress points. And then across the bottom. And then I'm going to come up the side of that center divider pocket, or that center divider. Again, making sure I back stitch well. I'm going to come across one and then back down the other side. Again, make sure I back stitch well. And then across the other side. Then up this side. And back stitch well. Now you could go ahead if you wanted to and put a rivet in the center here. I'm not going to because I've done the double row of stitching and it's fine. It's our divided slip pocket. Lovely. Put that to the side. Next we want our other lining. Now there is a slight curve to this edge, so make sure that you've got it right sides up. You want your zipper overlay. It's going to tell you in the pattern how far down we're going to pop this. So I'm just going to remove the top of my double-sided tape, the backing off the top of my double-sided tape, and I'm going to line that up in the center. Make sure that that's straight, and it is. And then once you're happy that it's straight, you can go ahead and remove your other pieces with double-sided tape and let that just lay down, and then we can top stitch this on. I don't think I have a really dark place on this zipper overlay, so because of that I am going to pull my threads to the back. Leave long tails, and I'm going to start in the corner 1/8 of an inch from the edge. I'm not going to back stitch, which is going to be hard. Oh no, why are you doing that? Please be kind. And then down the other side, and then down the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is, before I get any further, oh, it didn't like that, is I'm just going to pull my threads to the back already and tie those off. I'm trying to seal these and see if that does anything. I'm going to have to come back and top stitch that area there because they're loose. Darn it! It was basically just to there. I don't know why that did that. It's okay, we can come through the same holes. Oh, I just ran out of bobbin. Oh no. Oh my goodness. It's alright. What I'm going to do... Oh, I did it there again. I don't know what is going on with this. I'm just going to pull a couple of stitches back, because that way I've got tails to tie off. Why must you be painful? I just need enough to tie off. It's okay, we're going to fix it. And it just means that I'm going to have to pull it to the back and tie it off, but that's what I'm going to do. Kind of feel like doing the whole thing again, but I don't really want to. Even Twinkle Toes is like, no, I've had enough. Enough already. Okay, let's pull this. I'm going to come at the top and fix this one first. So I'm going to come there where it started. I'm going to make sure I'm going through the same holes, and then stop where it messed up. And then hopefully you won't even see this. Let's hope. I mean, we'll know, but no one else will. And they'll be like, oh, look at that overlay. Isn't it amazing? Pull that. Get that tail. Tie this off. Let's see what that's like. Oh, look, you can't even tell. Nope, you cannot even see that. Okay, that's there. But this here is not good. Where is it? There. I mean, I need to have enough to pull it to the back. I'm gonna have to undo a couple more. Oh my goodness, the things we've got to do. It looks like a bit of a dog's breakfast on the back, doesn't it? Okay, I think I'm just going to do this whole bit again, I think. Long tails. We're going to start from where I left off last time. And again, I'm going to make sure that I go through the same holes, or try to. Done. Okay, done. Looks a mess on the back, but that's all good. We won't see that. What's it look like on the front? Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. You cannot even see. Perfect. Now we can fold this in half and cut out our zipper box. Now you want to make sure that you do not cut through that zipper overlay, because after everything that we just did, that would be really bad. I'm going to get duckbill scissors. I keep thinking that every time I do one of these, and then I just get sidetracked and don't buy them. Just go very slow. This does not have to look perfect because no one sees it. Thank goodness. So it looks a mess on the back, but on the front, look at that. Okay, now you want your remaining 2 zipper pockets. You want your zipper tape. Okay, right sides up to right sides up. This is how I do them. I'm going to sew this 1/4 inch seam allowance. And this is the longer edge of my panel. Then what I'm going to do is lift this up and flip that down and top stitch. You can use double-sided tape. I just prefer to top stitch mine. And you don't have to worry about leaving this internal zipper pocket open, because we do not turn the bag, because it's a drop-in lining. Your other piece, right sides up to right sides up. Again, 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to flip this out and top stitch that seam down. I'm going to add double-sided tape along both these edges. I'm going to try 1/4 inch because I just feel like it might stick better. We shall see. I want my zipper closing to the left. Make sure with your zipper that your zipper pockets are going to cover that whole opening. So once you're happy with the layout, you can go ahead and remove the top of our double-sided tape. Lay that down, situate that however you want, and then remove the bottom. I'm going to have to pull my threads through. I'm actually going to start just here in front of my zipper. I'm going to come down and then back up this way Then when I get to here, I can close my zipper and I'm not going to have to worry about it distorting my stitches. Okay, there we go. Don't back stitch. Okay, and then up this side and then back down. So now that I'm here, I want to go ahead and pull my threads to the back. And you can tie those off now if you want. And again, my zipper pockets are laid flat out. Make sure you're not sewing through them because you're going to sew your zipper shut. So now that that's tied off and I'm back to here, I can go ahead and do my zipper up and it's not going to distort my stitches. And then I can continue down the rest of my zipper pull. My zipper tape, not pull. And then back up. And back to the beginning. And we can cut these off, pull them to the back, and then that's it. What I'm going to do first is just trim this bottom panel off so that they're even. Again, we do not have to leave this open because it's a drop-in lining. So now I'm going to start on this side here. I'm just folding this back. I'm going to sew down this side, across the bottom, back up this side, and that'll close our zipper off. I am going to make sure that I back stitch well over the side of my zipper tape. Now it is up to you what seam allowance you do here. Obviously the bigger seam allowance will give you a smaller pocket. So that's the side. Now this is the bottom. And then back up the other side. Done. Now you can go ahead and trim off your zipper tape, your excess zipper tape. You can leave it, it's totally up to you. I am going to trim mine off just a little bit. Now, if you do trim it off, make sure that you heat seal the sides because you do not want this zipper tape to fray. And then back here. And then that's it. That is our completed internal zipper pocket. Lovely. All secure. Next you want your two lining pieces. You want your recessed zipper panel and you want your two contrast lining panels. Okay, so I want to make sure that my zippers on my recessed zipper panel and my internal zipper pocket are closing to the left. So I'm going to start with the lining piece that has my internal zipper pocket. If you don't mind, use whatever piece you wish. Now, what we're going to do, if you haven't found the center of your recessed zipper panel, do it now. You're going to match that up with your lining piece. Now it's going to seem wrong because we normally do right sides together, but this right sides of your lining face up and your recessed zipper panel face up. We're going to clip that into place and we're going to baste that on. Then you want one of your contrast lining panels. Now, at the top here, there should be a bigger gap than at the bottom. What I'm actually going to do before I sew this on, so what I'm going to do is just measure down an inch. So it's going to be basically where the top of your stabilizer is, because this is where this gets folded down to. So we're going to place that right sides together with our recessed zipper panel. Now when you do this, make sure that the seam allowance that you've got at the bottom, so the bit that we are attaching, is smaller than the one here, because this gets flipped up and becomes the top of the bag. So right sides together, and you're going to sew that with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Seam allowance given in the pattern. Full seam allowance here. Make sure that your zipper pulls aren't going to get in your way. Then what we're going to do is we're going to flip this up, just like so. We're going to flip up our lining as well, and we're going to top stitch on our lining. Make sure everything's flat. So all my seams at the moment are underneath my lining panel. So they're all there, and we're going to top stitch on our lining panel. This is going to make sure that we've got a perky zipper panel. So then when it's in the bag, that's how it's going to sit, just like that. And then this gets folded down, just like that. And that's how it's going to be in the bag. Oh, love it. And then we're going to repeat for the other side. So now you've got your slip pocket. Now this time, your recessed zipper panel, your zipper's going to be closing to the right if you've done it the same as me. Again, wrong sides together. So right sides up for both. We're going to baste that on, add the lining, the contrast band, sew that at the full seam allowance, and then top stitch through our lining. That's basted. Now if it is easier, you can separate these two pieces so that they're not fighting against each other. And right sides together. Again, please make sure that you've got your band with the biggest seam allowance, the biggest gap at the top. We do not want to be sewing through that, because that would be upside down. Right sides together. Like, I understand that clipping takes longer, but it's not going to really shift. I'd be terrified that I'd sew something off center, because that's likely something I would do. Just going to shift that out of my way without taking my zipper off. And again, top stitching, seam allowances pointing towards the bottom, top stitching through our lining. I'm going to do this up. So this is how it's going to sit in the bag. Look at how beautiful that is. Wow. Okay, we're going to sew the sides. So what I'm going to do is just bring my zipper pull in and clip it out of the way, because I do not need to sew through that. We're also making sure to match up our edges, our seams. Go ahead, clip all this into place. Okay, so we're not increasing the seam allowance for our side, so go ahead and sew it at the full seam allowance in the pattern. And you want to do that on both sides. What I'm also going to do is come in here with this 1 inch line, and I'm just going to cut that, snip that, so that these lay flat, which is going to make it easier for when I do my drop-in lining. And I'm going to go ahead and glue these right now, and I'm going to glue these open on both sides, which again is going to help me when it comes time to do my drop-in lining. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and do the other side as well. Sewing this on, full seam allowance. Trimming that open and gluing, and we're going to put our base on. I am going to go ahead and draw my seam allowance on my base. Now I should not need to staple the base of the lining. It's a lot thinner material. So then this is my top panel. Alright, get your base. Put your base in, right sides together, centers matching up, and clip that into place. And I'm just going to butterfly out these seams here at the side and match up the centers and clip that. I am going to have to do some snips to get this to fit in, but I'm not going to have to staple it. So again, butterflying out these seams, and then I'm going to come in and make some snips. Just 1/8 of an inch and about 1/4 of an inch apart. And this is on my main lining that I'm snipping, not my base. You do not want to do any more than 1/8 of an inch snips, because otherwise you could cut into your seam allowance and that's not going to be good. Let's see how we go with that. Add more snips if you need to. But you're going to go ahead and work this in. What I'm going to do first is what I did in when I sewed the main lining on. I'm just going to come in and just sew, baste these straight edges, and that's not going to move while I fit in the rest. That's not going to move while I fit in all the rest of the base. Do that on both sides. I'm just doing it at 1/4 of an inch. Now that's not going to move. You can just come in and work the rest in. If you find you're having trouble, just go ahead and make some more snips. Okay, once I've worked all these in, we'll come back and sew it. But yeah, the more snips you make, the easier it is. You just got to work it in. So I've gone ahead and I've worked that into the seam. I am going to use my screwdriver to flatten it down as I go, sewing at your full seam allowance. Flattening your seams as you go is going to make sure you're not going to get any puckers. So again, flatten it out. So flattening that out as much as I can. Now what you can do is you can look inside and make sure you've got no puckers and see if there's anywhere that you need to come back in and sew. Have a look inside. I'm happy with that. That's done. Our lining is done. What we can do is I'm going to do what I did before, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start gluing all of this down. You can use double-sided tape if you want that, if you want it to work quicker. I mean, this is pretty quick drying. I'm just going to go ahead and use a little bit of glue, and I'm folding that. I'm going to glue myself. I'm laying the bottom edge on that line that we created earlier, and I'm going to start clipping this into place. Now I have already used glue for those sides, so I'm just going to pop some more glue on and fold those down. I don't want to use too much because I don't want it to come out the top. It's not going to take too long to do this, because I'm actually not finished with the glue yet. Now what I can do, I'm going to glue this again, is I'm going to get my main bag. This is the front of the bag. I want my zippers closing to the left. So what I'm going to do is put my lining in with my zipper pocket, internal zipper pocket, matching up with the back. So you put your lining into your bag how you want it to be in your bag. So this is how the inside of my bag is at the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add more glue here, but I'm to the inside edge. But I'm only going to add a very tiny amount here. And what that'll do is I can glue these two edges together where we're going to top stitch, and it's going to hold this together while I top stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and find the centers, which is right there, and right there. Now I'm going to take a couple of clips off. And again, I'm only using a very little amount of glue because I do not want it to come out the top. So I'm just matching up these edges here. And I'm going to go ahead and clip those together. And I'm going to use a lot of clips. So now that that's done, what I can then do is just come along and just put some more glue all along these edges and stick the two seams together. Come to the opposite side and do our top here. You can use double-sided tape if that's what you want to use. I'm going to use glue because I do not want this to move. I'm going to find the center here. Remove some clips and glue these together. Right there. Now when I do top stitch this, I am going to have to use a hump jumper because some of these seams are quite thick. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to work my way around, and I'll come back when it's all glued. I want to make sure that you're matching up all your centers. Okay, it's time to do the final top stitch. I think I'm going to have to turn the bag inside out. Now make sure that your panel, your recessed zipper panel, is down and out of your way because you do not want to sew through that. Okay, here we go. Wish me luck. Again, make sure that you're constantly readjusting so everything is as flat as it can be. Now just here, there is a big jump. So I'm going to use my offcut of vinyl to make sure that that does not tear up my vinyl when I'm going over that seam and coming back down the other end. This is a brand new needle as well. Make sure this panel, the recessed zipper panel, is out of your way. Okay, this time I think I'm going to try the hump jumper instead of the vinyl. I'm just going to put that underneath. Again, I'm going super slow. Now this is going to be very thick here because this is where our decorative patch is. Okay, up again, hump jumper. I do not want that to eat the vinyl. Okay, now as I'm coming back down, I want to use it again. And I constantly want to put that under there. And I want to use it here again because we're going up and back down. And this is where it's going to tear your vinyl. And because I did use the glue, that's why I can confidently take off all the clips. Okay, one more seam. back to the beginning. Oh my goodness, I did it. Oh, it looks great. I did it. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so we've done the top stitching. It's looking fantastic. Now I can turn it back the right way. Can we just take a second to look at that? Like, look at that. That is beautiful. Amazing. Wow. And can I just say how much better this bag has turned out just by using the foam. Look at that. Like, oh, look at the structure that this bag has. Like, oh my goodness. It is, compared to the other one, I would not make this bag again without foam. No way. Okay, I think that will be long enough for my zipper end, I think. Yeah, I think that'll be long enough. So we'll just trim her off there. Seal the end. Pop a clip on. Now we can go ahead and put our handles on. Look at the back. The structure that this bag has now is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I should have used foam in the first one. But anyway, let's get our handles done. I'm going to go up. I got glue all over me. Up. There. What I am going to have to do is I'm going to use these strap ends that I got from Dreamy Bag Hardware. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to secure this, I think, with 2 Chicago screws rather than sewing these on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to measure how far up this sits from the end. So that's where my strap end's going to go on. Then I want to leave enough room to be able to put 2 Chicago screws in. So if I get my rivet spacing template, so if I sit that there, I'm going to do it at 0.75 and then 0.25. Okay, so I need to do that on all of my straps. 1/2 inch, okay? So I'm going to measure 1/2 inch from the edge, and that's hopefully where my strap end's going to be. I'll just do the 1/2 inch on each end. And then I can just do all the holes. My rivet spacing template. If I sit that on the 1 inch mark, I can do one at 0.75 and then 0.25. Point 0.75, 0.25, clip this on. Put that through there. I'm going to clip this into place and I'm going to punch these holes. Let's go. There's one done, and then my second one. And I can transfer these to my other straps. It's going to be hard to try and get these strap ends on, just because my vinyl is so thick. So I think what I'm going to do is put my Chicago screws in first, or at least the top one. And see how we go. Okay, now now I can get rid of that mark. Don't need that anymore. So that's what it's going to look like at the front. Just like that. And then when this comes down, we're going to have this glorious strap end. So what we need to do is make sure that our vinyl is completely flush with each other. I might need to press these with some pliers to get this to go in. Okay, let's try this. You might be able to use your stiletto just to push the sides in. So I'm just trying to grab the vinyl to pull it down to see if that's going to help. There we go. I can see that being pulled down. I think this is going to take a while. Okay. I'm just wondering whether it's worth just using the others, just the square ones for now. But I mean, it does look very pretty when it's down. I mean, it's not letting me pull it down anymore. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to pre-punch my holes. Sometimes this part drives me nuts, but it's worth it, I think. It's worth it, yes. Okay, I think what I'll do is on the next side, I think I'll make a marking so that I know that if it gets to that point, it's straight. I think that's what I'll do. And I think it might be easier to put it on before the Chicago screws. So we'll try that too. There we go. That's on. So that is what that's going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the others and bring you back when we're finished. Oh, that's amazing. Look at that. Okay, I've gone ahead and I finished it. Those strap ends took forever to get on, but oh my goodness, they're worth it. Look at that. They are so gorgeous. This bag is absolutely amazing. Amazing. I love it. Absolutely love it. I am so glad that I was able to do it again, but this time use foam. I would not make this bag again without using foam. It is fantastic. The structure that it gives this bag is phenomenal. Let me show you the original bag. So this here is the original bag that I made. And I've just interfaced this with Decaville. Now, as you can see, it does not offer much structure at all. And this is a crop vinyl, so it's not like a thin vinyl. I absolutely love this crop vinyl, so I was so sad that this video didn't work. But that is the structure just with Decaville. I mean, look at that for the inside though. This bag is beautiful. But as you can see, not much structure at all. The back, again, it's sort of just, I mean, it's a beautiful bag, and obviously when you've got stuff in it, it's going to fill it out. But yeah, that compared, like this sitting on its own, that's what it's like just with Decaville. Decaville White. This sitting on its own with foam. So I'm not touching this at all, and it's standing there completely on its own. Amazing. The difference is amazing. This is the back. Our back zipper pocket. I mean, look at these connectors. Our back zipper pocket here. It's perfect size. These decorative wings look fantastic. I love the detail. Our decorative patch looks amazing as well. These handles are perfect for like just on your wrist, but it obviously does have a crossbody strap as well. Our crossbody strap, which I've blinged up with strap ends as well. We've got our side connectors, which I love. I love it when a bag does not have the connectors in the top. But those side details, look at that. That is amazing. I absolutely love this bag. Absolutely. And now let's look at this recessed zipper panel. I mean, look at that. That is just beautiful. Look at it. So perky. And then the inside. We've got our back zipper pocket here. We've got our divided slip pocket here. And this has got so much room. This would be a really good size nappy bag. Really good size nappy bag. I love it. I love it. Now, I don't... And look at the zipper. I mean, the overlay on the back. I love this bag. And I'm going to make more. I think I'm going to make that croc vinyl one again, but use foam this time. The base with our purse feet. Like, Now, this will settle. There's just a wrinkle there. And I mean, I've turned this inside out quite a few times today, so it will settle. But I'm in love with this bag. Amazing, amazing pattern. And being a drop-in lining, you know what? I think I really like drop-in linings. Top stitching gives me anxiety, but I really do like it. I just love all the details, all the bling. I'm all about the bling. But look I'm so glad that I persisted with those. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day and let me know what you think. I hope you make this bag because it really is beautiful. Really is. Like, look at how perky that is. I'll leave all my links in the description below and we'll catch you all on the next one. Bye.
We've been on and off again and again. I don't know which way we're going, no control. You push me, then you pull me back in. Don't know if I can decipher how your mind works. Yeah, you leave me wondering what it's like to feel your skin. I will keep on trying till you give me a sign. Give me a sign. Oh, give me a sign. Baby, give me a sign. Just give me one more. You leave me hanging, begging for more. Think that I'm addicted to this, can't resist to be a little risky and go for it, cause I want you close. I'm so exposed when you're keeping me wondering. You know I'd do anything to be in your arms again. So give me a sign. Give me a sign. Oh, give me a sign. Baby, give me a sign. Just give me one more talking to you.